Boom shakalaka! Welcome to another Sasha Daygame podcast. This is going to be a really interesting one. This is something, I guess it's one of my new passions, and it's something that's, it's almost in a way hard to talk about because it's kind of depressing and fucked up, but at the same time, it's something that affects everybody, you know? So for any new people tuning in, officially I'm a dating coach, but as we go along more and more, and as I've gone down this journey of self-discovery where I've been working on myself and my belief systems and how I see the world and my self-love and so much stuff, getting me to a point where I feel good about myself and I'm able to attract beautiful women into my life. As you go down that path, after a while you realize, okay, yes, I can go out there and talk to girls and hook up with them and whatever sort of becomes like a normal thing. You naturally just start thinking, okay, how else do I improve on my life? Like how, because if you get your dating life together, naturally, you want to be healthy. Or you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, I got a few extra pounds here. Why don't I go to the gym? Or why don't I clean up my diet? Or how do I get my brain to think faster? Naturally, you think, well, hey, you know what? I'd like to be earning more money, or I'd like to get a better job. All these things sort of pile up on top of each other. Well, I want to become more spiritual and find that path, and what that path means, for me. So one of the things I haven't really, I've been talking about the spiritual stuff. I've talked about ayahuasca and the San Pedro and all the stuff I'm doing, and I started a spiritual blog as well. But I haven't really talked about financial abundance very much. Some of the principles are there. I talk about, what you believe, you manifest and all this kind of stuff, and that applies. But I've never really talked about what is money. I've never really said, okay, what do you do to get money, to be successful? How do you work with money in the system to create financial abundance? And let's be honest, if you want to have a wonderful life that includes women and success and having nice things and travel and everything that human beings like doing, you got to have money, man. That's just what it comes down to. In this system, unless you inherit like a log cabin somewhere in the wilderness where you can just go off and you know how to chop wood and survive off the grid, that's great. And if you can do that and you can be happy with that and you have those skills, wonderful. You don't need to listen to this podcast. But if you're in the 99.9% of people who live in some country and in some relatively, bigger city with people and you have a job, you need money. You need money for rent. You need it for food. You need it to get the internet access that you're using right now to listen to this podcast. You need money. It's a sad reality. In a lot of ways, I don't agree with it. But sadly, that's just the system we're in right now. So I thought, let's do a podcast on... not so much on making money. I've done those before as well, but really on the system we're in. The what is money and how was this financial system we're in actually being used to oppress us all, and how do we escape that oppression and be successful and have money to do what we want in our lives? And I think that's really important for any man or any woman or anybody out there really who just wants to have a good time. You know what I mean? Because if you're broke, you're not going to have as much fun. You're not going to have as much freedom. And we all want freedom. We want the freedom to do what we want to do with the people that we love and do the things that excite us. That's what life is all about. So in brief, for those people who just haven't really been paying attention to what's happening, I almost feel guilty because I wanted to do a podcast on this before. I wanted to do a podcast on Bitcoins before, and I'm just busy doing other stuff. I got a lot of projects going on and I haven't done it. But better late than never. And as this is being recorded, we are just in the beginning of what most people predict is going to be probably the biggest economic collapse of all time. It's certainly going to be bigger than the one in 2008. And the main reason this is all kicking off, and again, I think we got a really special guest coming up in a second, and I think me and him might even disagree on the cause of this, but I think that's going to be an interesting discussion. But it all comes down to corruption and greed, really, if we're going to be honest about it, corruption and greed. And what's happening is countries, they spend too much money. They go and they blow a bunch of money that they don't have. And rather than having to stop spending money, like if you or me run out of money, what do? We stop spending money. It's real simple. But the way the system has been set up is that they've created these basically central banks that have no real authority. They're just a bunch of rich white guys or connected white guys. And they just have the ability to print money out of nowhere. They literally go into a computer and they say, okay, I'm just going to create $100 billion here. And then they'll loan that money out of nowhere to a country. And then the country, rather than curbing its spending, it'll just go and start spending that money on whatever it wants to. But it owes that money to this private central bank that collects real interest. And then the country has to raise its taxes to get more money coming in to pay this private central bank back money that doesn't actually exist because it was made up out of a computer. Now, it seems pretty ridiculous, but that's actually what's happening. And what makes the situation is worse, that most countries won't actually spend this imaginary money that they're borrowing from these these connected /rich/corrupt white guys. in this imaginary bank, they don't even do like spend it on the real economy. The real economy is, hey, let's get construction workers to fix up the bridges or build new schools, or let's give it to citizens so they have more money for food and more money for rent, and they could go and spend it on money that'll stimulate the economy. No, they don't do that. They give it to banks, other normal banks, who will then go up and put that money into buying stocks to prop up the stock market, or basically they'll steal it. And it's gotten to the point where banks have so much money they don't even have to lend the money to businesses, because they're like, why? Because of the policy, they just have so much money, corrupt money anyway. They don't have to even make money with that money. They could just hold the money and they don't have to actually put it in the real economy. So basically, what it means is normal people are fucked. Banks don't lend entrepreneurs money. There's no money in the real economy, and then of course the central bankers get rich, and the governments get absolutely destroyed, and they build up all this debt that eventually has to be paid off. And what that means is it's going to be austerity. It means they're going to have to eventually make real cuts that they should have done in the first place, and sell. And look at what's happening in Greece, which is the best example. It's fucked. It's absolutely fucked. And they're just going to keep taking away people's pensions. Their retirement funds are you can forget about it. They're putting capital controls on their banks. You can't go out to the bank and take your money out. You can't do anything. So you basically they're just going to you're screwed. There's no future for that country anymore. And it's corruption to a level that's absolutely insane. And so I'm going to bring on our special guest now to talk about this. He's an anarcho-capitalist. He's a libertarian. He believes in free markets, not government intervention and manipulation. He founded Stockhouse.com back in '94, selling the company for $240 million back in 2002. So this guy knows about business and the economy. He's not just some schmo. He's the real deal. So I'm very excited to get him on the podcast. Mr. Jeff Berwick!
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Hey, buddy. Yeah, I got to talk Canadian with you. Hey,
That's
buddy.
right. That's right. How's my lighting? It's not that great, huh?
No, but...
Let me get the wife. Piggy, can you turn on this other... I'm at my buddy's pimp place in Budapest. It's just unbelievable. He's got like 9 sets of fucking lights. Like literally. Central one, an outside light. There we go. That's better.
There you
go. Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, much better.
Look at,
Actually, I don't know if I'm even recording. I'm still installing this fucking Windows 10 hours.
Well, my thing is recording for sure. So, but yours will be better quality. So, if anything,
your video?
Yeah, I'm doing both. I got a Skype recorder program, but if you can get yours, because yours is going to be probably on your end for sure good. You got professional shit. I got a MacBook Pro from 2014. That's not bad, but.
No, those Macs are actually great. I agree with you. For video stuff, Skype and stuff, it's great. Okay, looks like it might be recording. Fucking Windows.
Your life is just all about fixing your fucking PC for the last couple of days.
Well, I spend like all my day on a computer, so I just want it to work, And it's been working fine, and then just yesterday, Bill Gates sent me a message and shut down my computer and said, we're going to turn off your computer if you don't reinstall Windows 10 now. And it's been a fucking nightmare.
It doesn't sound good. I've just I was a geek in high school, so I was running we're talking like 1994. They had these Mac whatever they were classics, these boxes, right? And I ran them, and I was a computer monitor buddy. So, but at the same time, I could still CD ... CD, like going around, and that was the old school way, but. I had so much suffering in life with PCs, and then one day I was like, whatever, Mac is gay. And my friend just showed me, like, this is how they work. Everything works. Nothing breaks down. And I just started, and after 2 days, I literally said to everyone I know, I don't know why I didn't fucking do this earlier, because I was using Macs when I was 13, so why wouldn't I get one now? Anyway.
Yeah, maybe it's time for me to go back. It's been like 20 years.
Dude,
but,
things have changed in 20 years, buddy. I'm telling you. Things have changed. So this is funny. I was just doing a thing with my guys in the Direct Dating Academy area, and I was just like, oh, Jeff Berwick's talking to me on Skype, and I mentioned you, and I'm just like, yeah, people are asking me, like, this is one of the questions came up, like, hey, Sasha, how do you I want to follow my passion, and how do I economically sort of go about creating some kind of income? And I mentioned you, and you were sending me a message, and people were like, one guy posted you were his, and one guy said, here, I'll read you the comment verbatim, but this is probably going to make you giggle. One guy says, and I quote, and I got it right here, screenshot, here we go. One guy writes, ideologically, Jeff Berwick is my nemesis. So you had an enemy of yours in my members area, and I was just like, "What are you, Janet Yellen? Who could be the opposite? Who is your enemy? Like what? What?" Anyway, so
he must be like Hitler or Stalin or something.
Literally, just like, well,
I love government.
Yeah. Like, what? And what are you doing in my members academy? Anyway, that was hilarious. But dude, so great to connect with you. Yeah, I started following you. It's weird for me doing this because I'm actually a fan of yours. Usually when I talk to somebody, they're a fan of mine, and they're like, "It's so amazing to talk to you." And
so actually, after last night, after installing Windows 10 hours, I watched like 4 or 5 of your videos, and I'm a fan of yours now. So, yes. But I didn't even know about you till you messaged me.
That's right. That's right. Cool. It's one of those weird things. There's so many cool people out there, but unless somebody told you to or you found them, you have no fucking idea, right? Right. So being proactive. But I had a moment of fanboy kind of comedy because I subscribed to you because the collapse was coming, and I'm like, well, I ain't going broke. I started following you in 2012, and finally I'm like, fuck it, I can afford it. I'm going to subscribe to Jeff. And then when I saw I was just looking at some of the comments in the group, and I saw your Facebook it just said Jeff Berwick, and you replied to someone's comment, and I had this moment of like, oh, he's on Facebook. Like, that never occurred to me that you might be on Facebook. I'm just like, of course he's on Facebook. Why the fuck? He runs a whole podcast. He's on YouTube. Of course he's on it. And I was like, oh, I could just message him myself and say hi. Awesome. Because I was fantasizing for weeks on having you on my podcast. And then I saw Facebook, and I literally was like, I could just message him on there. Like, I just had this moment of clarity. Like, I'm a fucking idiot. And then it was funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny sometimes. You just don't think of something and it just hits you.
Exactly. But here was my moment of awkwardness.
It's like, why didn't I think of that?
Happens to all of us. But the funny part was, so I messaged you, and I had and it's funny because I never put too much thought into it because I'm usually the one with the status. So people are messaging me for advice and whatever. So I'm just like, whatever, buddy, stop being a pussy. Like, I don't think, I'm just in the moment. But with you, I'm like, okay, I want to make a good mess. I'm like with a chick now, like I'm trying to get laid here. I'm like, all right, I want to make a good message. I don't want him to think I'm an idiot or some other like weirdo pickup guy. So I'm going to make a good message. So I send the message. And I don't want to be needy, right? So I wait a couple of days, and then you don't reply. And then I'm like, I don't think he likes me. Maybe I didn't send a good message. Oh, great! Now Jeff thinks I'm a dick. I'm never gonna get him on my podcast now. And then I'm like, all right, I gotta send.
Hilarious because I seriously did not see your first message.
I believe
and
you.
When I did see it, and then you messaged again, and then I watched your videos, I was like, holy shit! I played that perfectly by accident, acting like I don't care, like you're kind of a big deal, but whatever. I put you off accidentally because I didn't even see your first message, and then you got all beta.
It's true.
And you're like,
true.
Oh shit, maybe. Hello, sir. It's like, no, I didn't even see your first message.
That's right.
So funny.
I get that because I've had things when I'll put out a video and I'll literally go and I have a shit ton of emails and Facebooks and stuff. And sometimes I find a message that someone sent me 6 months ago, and I'm like, hey, bro, I just saw this now. Sorry. But so I'm literally like, okay, how do I don't want to be too needy in the second message, and I want them to know I'm serious about having him on, so I'm right now anyway. But it all worked out in the end. But it was such a reversal for me because I'm always the guy in the end of like, hey, I'm a really big fan, like all the time, and then for me to be like, hope this guy replies, it was hilarious.
No, I do too. I got a few people that I consider like my heroes. John McAfee. I don't know if you know him. He just said he's running for president. He's an anarchist. He created McAfee antivirus software. If you haven't seen it, you got to look up his video where he tells people to uninstall it. Like, you will love it. It's probably the coolest thing I've ever seen.
I don't know. So
yeah, I approached him. Sort of like you, like, and then he responded back. He's like, no, I know who you are. I love your stuff. Actually, no, he contacted me. And I was just confused. Sorry, I forgot. So it was like 2 years ago. And I was just like, holy shit, this guy knows who I am. And I was talking to him kind of like, carefully, like, you would, like a lot of guys do with girls, like, hello, sir. So kind of, he's like, hey, I love you, man. Like, let's just talk. It's like, oh, awesome. It's so cool, yeah. Man.
It changes it when people like you too. Then it's like, all right, cool, awesome.
Yeah, and then you can relax a little bit.
That's right. Then you can fucking calm down.
I don't have to make them like me anymore.
But yeah, dude, and it's funny. Like, so I found you in 2012, and right away, like, you immediately resounded with me because I was just like, fuck, resonated because I was just like, oh, okay, he's actually doing what I do. He's telling people the fucking truth and not sugarcoating it and going, hey, we're fucked. This is what's really happening in the economy. You're going to get fucked over. Wake up and smell the coffee. So immediately I was like, yes, this is true. And it's one of those things about the truth is when you hear the truth, right? On some level, you just go, oh, this is the truth. Great, I'm gonna fucking listen to this guy. And ever since then, once in a while, I'll just pop in and look on your blog and see what you're talking about. And it's great. But you're the first guy that ever really made me consider the whole anarchy thing. I don't really, I never thought about it. I've heard, because I had this idea in my head, like everyone knows, it's these anarchists, they're guys who listen to Bad Religion, or, what's that band that did the song Fuck the Queen or whatever, those guys, they wear leather and they go to rock concerts and they fucking smoke. Like, I'm not one of those guys.
Or they like shit on fire and shit.
Exactly. Like, let's nail this cat's tail into the fucking ground, light it on fire and watch it go around in a circle. I'm an anarchist, bro. Fuck the system. So I never thought about it. But then, of course, as I become more familiar with your stuff, dude, I'm a shit disturber. I've always been a fucking, I hate everything about control in the system and the government. All of it. It's shit. So I think I've always been one. And all it was I had a job.
Shit, man, we should be talking about this on either your podcast or my podcast, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we should just get...
We can share.
Are we already recording? I don't even know.
I'm recording. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, no.
I didn't even start recording yet. I thought we were just having a fun conversation.
No, we're having fun. You know what I realized, Jeff?
Recording here on my camera.
I realized? The best fucking podcasts are when I don't even tell people I'm recording and we just talk a bunch of shit, and after an hour I go, by the way, that was our podcast, and people go, what? And yeah, that was it. Those are the best, because this is just it. And because there's editing.
That's totally true. Like, I found, like, so we'll have an awesome podcast with awesome, like, mind-blowing, awesome. And then I'll say, okay, that's it for Anarchast, my other podcast, and I'll turn it off. And then we have a way better conversation afterwards. It's like, why didn't we do that when we were recording?
Yeah.
So that's really cool that you... So I wasn't recording until just now. So on YouTube, I guess, I don't know when we're going to start this, but for on my side. But if we just start it now, I'll just let people know. We've already been talking for 10 minutes, and I didn't know. And Windows 10 hours... bullshit. Bill Gates has screwed up my computer, so I don't even know if I'm recording on my end. So I hope you're recording your video on your end, and you can send this to me so I can put it up.
Yeah, it's fine.
Cool.
So the funny story about me, so I was just basically saying that, only recently because of you, I've realized I am a fucking anarchist / libertarian. I've always been like, don't tell me anything. Like, even on the most basic levels, like drugs. Like, don't fucking tell me what to put in my body. Don't tell me I have to pay you money for what to exist because I was born on some piece of land. I'm going to pay you fucking money for me working my ass off. Go fuck yourself. I don't believe in it.
It makes no sense.
Especially when you realize where the money's going. Corruption, bureaucracy, and killing fucking civilians. That's where the money's going. And people go, oh, no, I'm from Canada. I'm whatever. Yeah, fuck you. Look at what your country's doing. They're selling weapons and creating and destabilizing shit and doing evil shit. All of them, unless you're like Iceland. And Iceland's good because nobody talks about them ever. That's how you know they're actually doing something good, because they're trying to pretend they don't exist.
Well, actually, that's changing. After they the whole story about how they put bankers in jail during the last financial crisis is, I think, about half true. But they've been getting a lot of attention. Now they just actually said to Israel that they're going to boycott anything from Israel. So I've been seeing a lot of stuff going over there. They're going to try to attack it in some way now, which is unfortunate, which is what happens when you actually stand up for something, right? Yeah. So everything changes. So I think you were right on Iceland until recently. And my friend, actually a good friend of mine, is over there right now. And he just invited me to come over. I was supposed to be there right now, actually. It's funny, all these coincidences, but I just couldn't do it. But things change. The U.S. actually was probably a pretty decent place, like 50 years ago.
It was great.
And now it's just North Korea times 10.
Dude,
but most people don't realize it. That's the crazy part.
But with really good PR that's been so good, people are still believing the PR. But man, as soon as that PR wears off, man, oh my God, people are going to fucking flip out. They're gonna flip out. And it's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell people.
We talked about the moment of clarity on email or something, but there's going to be a moment of clarity for literally tens or hundreds of millions of people in the U.S. in the next few months or years, no more than a few years. And that transition, so many people in the U.S., they've been so brainwashed and so indoctrinated, and so many of them now are on so many drugs because of it, and they actually do that on purpose. So in school, when your kid says something kind of smart or questions the teacher, now in the old days they just say shut up, which is what happened to me, and I just say, well, I'm not coming here anymore, this is stupid. But now they're like, well, put them on Adderall or some sort of heroin-based narcotic, which totally just destroys them. So it's yeah. So when that shuts off, like I think those zombie movies are not necessarily fiction. I think it's predicting what's going to happen in the U.S. at some point.
They were doing drills in certain states saying there's zombie drills, but zombie was just a euphemism for angry people who aren't getting food stamps or their drugs anymore, who are going fucking crazy. But it is what it is. But here's the thing about the system. I did a health podcast recently, and I got a lot of really positive feedback on it, and I just told the truth. But it's not like in every area, health, wealth, the economy, everything. The government is not incompetent. People think, oh, they're just really stupid. They're not fucking stupid. They're really smart, evil people. That's what they are, and everything is by design. You don't think they know that pharmaceuticals are bad for you? They know. You don't think alcohol and tobacco they don't know it's bad for you? They know. You don't think they know GMO food? They're not sure. No, they know for sure it's really bad for you, and it makes you not be able to have fucking kids, and it causes all kinds of problems, and they want that. They want people sick. They want people unhealthy. They make money from you as you fucking get sicker and sicker and sicker, and right before you die, you know what they do? They'll give you the chemo. They'll finish off your immune system and get whatever fucking money you have left and put you in the grave. That is the system. It's not a coincidence. They know exactly what they're fucking doing all the way across the board.
Here's why people get confused, though, right? Is because their day-to-day interaction with the government is like at the DMV or with like some IRS agent who's like so stupid you can't even believe it. Right. So a lot of people think, well, the government must be really stupid. And yes, all the people they hire are really stupid, but the people who run it are really smart. Yeah. And for some reason, they want to kill us all, or not necessarily kill us all, but really destroy our lives for the most part and take everything we have. And so that's the cognitive dissonance that a lot of people have is, well, I was at the DMV and those guys, there's no way they can do 9/11. There's no way they could knock down 3 buildings with 2 planes and make it look like it actually happened and it was legit. There's no way. Like I've dealt with these people. These are the stupidest, most moronic people I've ever met in my life. Yes, they hire those people on purpose. They're called what do they call them? Idiots. There's a word for it. Useful idiots.
Okay, useful idiots.
And that's what the government usually tries to do. Is at the lower levels they try to hire, even like in the police in the U.S. They actually have said, and you can look this up. They won't hire anyone if they have too high of an IQ because they will start to question, why am I knocking down people's doors and throwing flashbang grenades in babies' cribs because they have some plants in their house? So that's it's crazy. It's nuts.
Yeah, well, it's like if you look at Stalin, Stalin killed people. And a lot of people don't realize this. He killed more people himself of his people than they lost in the war. I mean, we're talking millions and millions of people. Some estimated it could be as high as 20 million people because they were smart. All the artists, the creative people in the generals that were intelligent, he wiped them out because he thought they might rise up against him.
Same in Cambodia, right? Pol Pot. They're all, I don't know if they're all connected or if it's all a big plan. I'm open to the idea for sure, or maybe it's just human nature. Maybe stupid people see, like the Lord of the Rings, the Ring. I don't know if you realize this or not, but J.R.R. Tolkien said he was an anarchist, a real anarchist, not the bomb throwing leather black wearing person. And so have you seen Lord of the Rings or read the book?
Dude, who hasn't seen fucking Lord of the Rings? Are you kidding?
Yeah, it's awesome, right? And so the Shire, the hobbits, those are like us. Like we just want to have fun. We want to light off some fireworks. There's a mayor, but he doesn't do anything. And then these black ring wraiths come in because they want the power. And they just destroy everything. They just leave everything a smoldering heap at the end of it. And Pol Pot, he actually said, and he's still, I don't know if he's still alive or not. I think he might have died or something, but he never actually went to jail or anything. People just kind of like, that was a shitty time where he killed almost everybody, but whatever. Which is, kind of cool in a way. Like, that's how nice a lot of us are. It's like, you kind of killed most of us, but if you stop, it's fine. Like, just stop it. And but that was he said that like 20, 30 years ago, wherever it was like the 80s, I believe, or 70s. We're going to kill all the smart people, anyone who has any sort of creative ideas, artists. And they did that in the Soviet Union as well. And now you can kind of see it happening in the U.S., but they got smarter now. So they're like, well, we can't just kill everyone, or everyone's going to figure out what we're doing.
Fluorinate the water.
So let's just have this massive PR machine. Let's make Hollywood ours, and put out all kinds of crap that make us look pretty good. It makes us look bad sometimes, but not so bad that you want to kill us. And so they're kind of like just dumbing down the population so much through the schools, Hollywood, mainstream television programming. It's called programming for a reason. That it's crazy. I can't believe it's actually happening. I can't believe they've gotten away with it this long, and I think it's actually going to start to turn on them now. And but how long it takes, I'm not sure.
It's happening
but
slowly.
definitely
But you know
not more than a few years, because we have the internet now.
It's getting to a point where what's going on is so fucking ridiculous. It's just, it's ridiculous. It's to the point where even your normal person, if they hear about it, that isn't that smart, would be like, this is really fucking ridiculous. And, for example, now, what's happening just now as we're recording this, so anyone who's not tuned in whatsoever, basically the U.S. has been going around destroying governments for their own economic purposes, basically to keep the elites in power. Libya, Ukraine, Iraq.
It's for democracy.
Yeah, it's for democracy, sure. Anyway, so now they're doing it, and because they want to build an oil pipeline through Syria to cut Russia out, so Russia can't get its oil to Europe. So they want to build a pipeline through Syria. And they're going in there and just trying to take Assad out, and they're saying no, we're just there to fight ISIS, but Assad should go, but we're not going to do it. This is bullshit. Russia comes in and goes, you know what? We're with Assad. You're not going to remove the government. We're fucking here. So Iran, China, Russia. And they come in and be like, yeah, we're not gonna allow for this to happen. And as soon as Russia goes in and bombs some of these groups that are freedom fighters, that are actually terrorist groups funded and supported by the U.S. fully, and it's out there now that the U.S. just gives people guns and goes, yeah, they're moderates, they're decent. No, they're not. All these people with guns, they're all funded by the fucking CIA, all of them. So they're hoping that they'll come in as ISIS. And they'll come in and they'll get Assad up, and then they can take over and build their oil pipeline. So Russia comes in and actually bombs legitimate terrorist targets, and America goes, how could you do that? And Russia's like, oh, no, we're trying to fight ISIS. I think everyone can get behind that. And America's like, yeah, well, I guess in theory we're with you on that, but we don't like the way you're doing it. And as soon as the bomb hits, you guys killed civilians! I mean, I want to have literally a graph and some comedy video where I go through the civilian casualties by America in the last 20 years, and then civilian casualties by Russia, and be like, you fucking hypocrites. So anyway, it's so ridiculous now that it's almost a comedy show, and I'm starting to actually sleep better at night when I go, it's comedy. I'm here on the planet to do my work, raising frequency, but it's a great comedy show to enjoy how fucking ridiculous it is, because it's the only way I can handle it. It's so fucking ridiculous. That's it.
Yeah, that's a lot of people actually. We were talking when we started about you coming to Acapulco, and I think you will come. I can sense that's going to happen, and we're going to have a bunch of people. There's a guy named Zen Gardner. I don't know if you know him. So many people. And he says the exact same thing. And he's done ayahuasca. I kind of hear myself on your speakers here. It's kind of screwing me up a little bit, but I'll turn my speakers down. And I follow him a lot, because he's saying exactly what you're saying. He's like, everything is so unbelievably crazy now that you just have to basically watch it like a comedy show and do your work, continue doing your work. But when you see all this heinous shit, like we're seeing every single day, like even the whole Syria thing, that's just so bad on so many levels. It actually hurts me to enjoy that Putin actually called the U.S. on it, because I hate all governments and I hate all bombings. But I'm actually glad he did. This is how crazy it is. I'm happy someone's bombing people. But yet again, like I said, we just have to kind of look at it like comedy at this point, and it's the only way to keep your sanity. And when I was younger, I used to think you had a great. I watched like 5 of your YouTubes last night while I was installing Windows 10 hours, and you said you had a great one about how you talked to this what everyone thought was a crazy woman on a subway in Toronto, and you mentioned Toronto's a shithole, which I agree, but I thought it was a great story because. When I was younger, I used to see these people on the street, and they're kind of crazy. They're like, government's watching you, they're blah, 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 and they're trying to kill you. And I was like, they're crazy. And now I'm like, no, they weren't crazy at all, but they just didn't have a really good way to communicate it. You just screaming it's not going to really
wake anyone up. I think what you're doing, and maybe myself and others are doing, is more helpful because we don't appear totally crazy. You used to have that crazy ponytail or whatever on the top of your head. I used to got it. So you look to some people kind of crazy. He's got a ponytail. But I'm here in a suit, and I'm like, listen, look at everything I've said in my life. A lot of it has been wrong. Going back to when I was 5 years old, I didn't know everything. I admit it. But have I ever said anything that really sounded like I've lost my mind? Like I'm just actually that's an interesting thing to think about, losing your mind. Maybe that's a good thing because you talked about ego. Maybe it is good, but we still have to live on this earth. And so if you completely just go batshit crazy and you start shitting in the streets and like wiping on people's faces, which I would never do, but like, that crazy, that's not really going to help you or anyone else. And you also pointed out some of your videos, which I watched during Windows 10 hours. That's
what it takes for someone to become a fan of mine. They need to be facing 10 hours of installations. Then they'll watch my videos. Thanks, Jeff. That's real nice. That's what it takes.
I'm just saying that I normally wouldn't spend that much time. I'm very busy, but I had nothing to do. My computer's fucked, and I'm just sitting here.
Thanks,
Bill
I
actually
Gates.
had a few drinks.
You
I was like, I can't
Jeff
take
and a
this.
fan of mine. Thanks, Bill. I owe you one, Bill Gates. If you're watching this, I owe you one. Thanks, buddy.
You feel really good. I totally felt you on that one when you said, I've done so many things in my life, and the only thing that really makes me feel good is when I help other people. And actually, I agree. I feel the exact same way. And I look back at some of your older videos. I don't know if you changed since then, but you were mentioning like capitalism's bad, money's bad, and all that sort of stuff. It actually isn't. Free markets is the best thing. And in a true free market, the only way that you can get ahead is by helping as many people as possible. So in a real free market, which we have nothing like that today, the richest man would be like, everyone would love that person so much. And we don't today because the richest man's like George Soros or Bill Gates because they got ahead through fascism and government control and all these shit they do. And so a lot of people now think, well, if you get a lot of money, you must be really evil. So they flipped everything because it should be really in a free market. If a guy's got so much money, he can't even spend it. He's like, whatever he wants, he can get, like, for paying. He would have only got that because he helped so many people in his life. See, this is the beauty. This is what Jesus actually talked about. I don't know what you think. I saw you making fun of Jesus a few times. I'm not sure what you think about it. I'm not sure what to think about it either because there's so many lies and all that sort of shit. But when I look at what they say Jesus did, he was an anarchist. He never tried to force anyone to do anything. He tried to help as many people as possible. And the only time he kind of got close to being violent was with the bankers. And he was like, get the hell out of this temple. Stop lending people money to enslave them. And he threw their tables over and he brought out a whip, which I don't think was totally all that violent. So I think that was pretty cool, So, yeah, I'm going off on tangents here. I think we could talk forever. I don't know how long you want to keep this going, but I could pretty much talk to you for hours and hours about all this stuff.
So we didn't even really, we just had a rant, but we didn't even really get into the economic stuff. I feel like it's all so obvious, they're just printing up money and everything's fake, and every time there's a collapse, they just make billions off it, and poor people get poorer, and they just steal all the money, and it's just going to keep going like this forever until until people just lose confidence and everything collapses. I don't know, but it's not. We need some kind of fucking change.
Well, the change is happening, and I think you're right. I've said this since the beginning of talking about this sort of stuff. This stuff won't really end until it just collapses. There's not going to be like this, everyone just wakes up and stops, gets rid of most of the government and all the central banks. It's human nature, actually, to not really face reality until you have to face reality, and usually things have to collapse. And I think a lot of us have gone through those sort of things in our own personal lives, like even with myself. Many times in my life, I've hit rock bottom, and that's when I had to change. Most people just won't fully change until it's the last option. It's a weird, I don't know how to explain. I don't know why it is, but it's just like a human nature sort of. I guess we just don't want to face the pain. I guess that's probably it, right?
Yep.
So we're sort of like rats. We're if there's a piece of cheese there or a poker, like a hot like knife or something, we'll always eat the cheese until, even if the poker is actually going to really improve our lives, if we actually take one poke from the thing, we won't take it until we absolutely have to. And you do that in your dating sort of stuff. I don't know a lot about it. I only watched like a few hours during my Windows 10 hours. And but the pickup artists and all this sort of stuff, and it makes a lot of sense. And a lot of people were saying like, you have to just, and I liked how you said you didn't use a lot of physical violence. You'll punch them in the arm or something. Just like kind of snap out of it. Like just get rid of this fear. I think it all comes back to fear, really. That and so you can come to it, and so maybe so your audience came to it through they wanted women, and all men want women, or most anyway. And it's actually the biggest thing in most of our lives when we're younger, and it was for me as well. And you just have to snap out of the fear. The fear, there was a saying, I forget who said it. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. And that's totally true, but we can never fully learn that until we face it every single time, whether it's with talking to women, which I've gone through. I sent you that blog I wrote about how I had to become a rapper to lose my shyness, and became the #2 white rapper in Canada after Tom Green in the 80s. And I still kind of shy by nature. I think we all, in some ways, and I kind of want to ask you about that because you seem very outgoing, very spontaneous. But I bet somewhere in your brain, you're still a little kind of shy feeling. I want to ask you about that.
That's a good question. So I don't know. It's weird with me because I was always I had poopy parents. My parents, I was a kid. My dad ran away. I had a fucking crazy manic depressive mom who kicked the shit out of me. She bought me the worst fucking clothes you can imagine. You remember a store called Byway? I got all my stuff from Byway. I had track pants and these fucking $5 shoes. Jeff knows fucking
Hey, that's
Byway.
cool now. Huh? That's cool.
Maybe now it's cool, but you know what?
Now.
When you're in school and all the kids have Nikes and they're like, "What brand is your shoe?" And there's no brand. I'm like, "These are $5 no-name shoes from Byway." I have shoes. And I'm wearing track pants, and it's brutal. So I always got fucking picked on. But somehow I don't know. I think I just had the gene for funny, and at some point I just started verbally defending myself, and I realized I could make kids cry by saying things. But yeah, so I don't know, and by the time I was it's weird. I was always kind of shy, and I was kind of quiet and stuff up till I was around, I don't know, 16 or 17, and I saw comics on TV, and I was just like, these people aren't funny. I'm funnier than these fucking people, and I just went and started doing stand up, and the stand up went well, and then I just fucking put all my energy into becoming a comic. Which I did, and that really, it just shows you that you can radically change the way you are. Because now everyone will tell you, I will get on stage in front of any number of thousands of people, and I'll talk to you as comfortably as I am talking to you. It's awesome for me. I feel more comfortable on stage than I do in any situation. So that's just exposure. It's just exposure and experience for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point too about intention. And in my Windows 10 hours, I watched you talking about a lot of guys will go up to a girl, and they're like, they don't even know what they want. And so you have to have an intention. And what I've learned in life is that if you truly focus on something and it's your intention to do it, you can do it. Pretty much anything physically possible you can do. And you mentioned that. So you intended to become a comic, and then you did. You did really well. And then you intended to help people with like relationship issues, or you could call it. And you did. And I've done the same thing in my life many times. But people don't realize. This is the thing they don't want people to know, is you are very powerful. You can do anything you want. This is what they won't tell you. This is the thing they don't want anyone to know. Because if you do, you won't want a government. You definitely won't want central banks. And you will live a life of prosperity. And we were talking about that via email last night, that if we didn't have all these crazy systems, the government, central banks, and today's capitalism, which is fascism, we would actually have so much abundance. We wouldn't really need to work a lot to get our basic necessities met. But we would still, I think, work a lot. Like, for example, myself, I'm not doing a lot of this stuff because I want to make a lot of money. I'm passionate. I'm like, I want to help people. I just want to let people know. And you do the same thing. And you've gone through this in my Windows 10 hours. I somehow learned about your entire life. And you've gone through a lot of the same things as me. You've kind of woken up to this as you get, and you said this to some of your students. For people who don't know, if you're watching on my channel, you help people, men with issues talking to women, basically. And just learning how to talk to girls isn't just going to help you get laid. It will. But it's going to make you realize you can do anything you want. It's going to improve your life in every single area. And now you've gone into health sort of stuff, which I'm really into as well. And actually, I don't think tobacco is actually all that super, super unhealthy. It's the chemicals and shit that they put in it. My grandfather smoked 3 packs a day until he was 80, and then he finally died. But
just to add to what you're saying,
I love him, but
just to add before I lose my train of thought, what you said, I really agree with what you said about having an intention, and this is one of the most important things in life, because people think, oh, I want to have this or that, or I don't have what I want in my life. You don't have what you want in your life because you're not working with your consciousness and your soul towards whatever the fuck it is you want. Once you know what you want and you really decide, this is the thing for me, I'm going to fucking do it. It's going to be awesome because I have to do it. I have no choices. It's my purpose. Everything will align to make it possible for you because you're fucking God and you're one with everything. Everything is everything. We're all the same frequency, and you can do it. But when you're flopping around, you're so distracted by the fucking pharmaceuticals and fluoride in the water and shitty fucking food and governments, and you're paying taxes and everything, and you're being fucking ripped off all the time. How can you, when you're working for fucking $7 an hour or $8 an hour, and you're living in fucking New York City, living in a fucking broom closet, how the fuck do you figure out who you are and what you want to do? And that's the system they're creating, is to really keep us suppressed and keep us just surviving. This is why they want us drinking alcohol. Get fucking drunk, go to the club, fucking, because they want you to live like a fucking moron and be too confused just trying to survive to figure out anything. That's really the truth. And in an ideal society, people would do what they love to do. They could provide enough for everybody to have their own little space, their own food growing everywhere. There's clean water everywhere. If you want to work, like constructing, great. You could help build buildings, and you could get bonuses, or you could get whatever. There could be some kind of incentive.
Some people like cleaning houses,
sure,
and
absolutely.
Like my maid,
sure.
I almost want to bring her on. Like, she loves her job, and she's become a part of our family. We only pay her like $12 a day, but when there was a tropical storm here in Acapulco, our house got pretty much knocked down, and we built her a new one. But we don't want to throw off the economics of this entire area by paying her $50 or $100 a day. That would. You have to be kind of like, economics is a very important thing. And but my point is, like, some people just like cleaning houses. Some people like building a house. Some people, everyone's got their role and their place, and we can all just. I don't like any of that, by the way. I don't like building houses. I don't like cleaning anything. I like thinking about ideas and helping people to understand what's going on and waking people up to what I've learned. That's what I love. And I also love creative things like writing. I'm a writer, and so that's what I love. And I can help people that way. And so when my maid, for example, in the future, in the great future where we don't have governments or central banks and everyone's pretty happy, maybe my maid one day, after she works for me for 8 hours cleaning our entire house, and we're very grateful for her, and she's also quite happy, she'll go home and read one of my books, and she'll be like, wow, that really is great. So I've helped her. I already helped her by paying her. So we should mention that. Capitalism, free markets is really good. So she's very happy to get $12 a day, and I'm very happy to pay it. And we're both happy. That's the free markets. It's so beautiful. It works so wonderfully. It's just when the government gets involved and they go, nope, that's too low. You got to pay her 30. And I'm like, well, that's not the market price. And then I get angry. And then all of a sudden, she's like, feels entitled. And she's like, well, why don't we make it 50? It's like, no, stop. No, no force. Always voluntary interactions. If we can get to that point, I think we will. I don't know when, but no one will believe how beautiful this life can be. It will be almost paradise.
It would be a lot like our lives. I don't want to brag or anything, but look at us, right? We're basically doing what we want to be doing. We're following our passion. We're helping a lot of people to wake the fuck up. And hey, look, you're in fucking Mexico. I travel around, and I'm in different countries all the time, doing seminars and doing great podcasts, and I'm having a fucking blast. And I didn't come into this world with any fucking advantage or anything. I just did what I wanted to do and helped a lot of people, and here I am. And it's a beautiful thing. So, and everyone has that potential, and that's what really sickens me, is that they really don't, like you said, they just don't want you to realize your own human potential. They don't want you to know what you're capable of. They want you fucking working in a factory, busting your balls to trying to survive, and you're just too desperate to figure out who you are, or even connect to something greater than you, if it's whatever you want to call it. This creative energy, this energy of creativity, whatever you want to call it, God, or your life energy force, whatever the fuck you want to call it. We're all it, man. It's like we're all it. When you've taken large amounts of fucking psychedelics or done heavy meditation or any of these things that wake you the fuck up. In my case, I took a shortcut. I can't meditate, so I just took the San Pedro and the ayahuasca. But I'll tell you what, we're all the fucking same. And that's all they do, is they try and separate us. And that's what, if you look at the U.S. political system or anywhere in the world, it's everyone is trying to separate everyone. Oh, well, this fucking blacks versus whites versus Spanish, rich people versus poor, blah, blah, blah. They want us all fighting each other. But if we realize we're all fucking one, and the greatest prophets in the world have come to this and just been like, we're all fucking one. That's what it is. Those people get shot because you cannot control people who realize we're all, as soon as we realize we're all brothers and sisters, it's over. They're going to say, hey, we're going to have a war here. Who's going to show up for the war? I'm going to shoot you in the face because someone else told me to? I don't think so. Fuck you.
Yeah, John Lennon said a lot of those sort of things, and they killed him. So this has actually been in process now for a few centuries, maybe even millennia. I'm still doing a ton of research. Some sort of, I don't know if they're evil or maybe from a lot of people say they're not human. I'm not sure. Certain bloodlines. There's so much we don't know. This I know. There's so much we don't know.
Well, I can tell you.
And the more I look in,
I can tell you that human beings by their nature are good, because you know what? If you're sitting there by the beach and you see a fucking kid trip and fall into the fucking water and start drowning, we don't run over and go, that fucking kid's drowning. No, we jump in the fucking water, we pull him out. Everyone does the same thing, but the people up top, they like fucking killing and bombing fucking women and children. They love it. That's what they do. Look at the statistics. They're killing people all the time. They're spraying fucking heavy metals in the sky. They're putting fucking poisons in the water, fluoride in the water, GMO food. So they want people sick and dying. So they're not good. I can tell you that for sure. They're not good, Jeff. We're good.
They're good for us, for sure.
It doesn't matter if they're aliens or if they're all the same fucking bloodlines who are fucking carrying around their fucking money from generation to generation, but they're not good. And frankly, they need to go.
Yeah, and I've actually met a few of them. I've gone to Bilderberg, and I've known Bilderbergers in the past. They never seem totally evil to me when I meet them.
It'd make it easy though if it did, right? If they're just like evil.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
But I've talked to some of them, and like for an hour or two or more, and a lot of what they say makes sense at some level. They're like, hey, there's too many people on this planet. We got to depopulate it. It's for the good of us all. So I'm not sure if they're totally evil or just majorly confused about how to help this planet, because they're doing it wrong. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you saw this today. This is the craziest headline article I've seen. It gets crazier and crazier every day. Elon Musk wants to nuclear bomb Mars to create 2 suns to make it livable for humans. I was like, we have this planet right here. Just stop ruining it, and it'll be great. It's beautiful. Look, you're in a room, but I know Budapest, where you are, I think, is an amazing place. It's beautiful, and it's so beautiful, and it's birds, and it's beautiful, and the women, they're walking around. They're beautiful, and there's guys like you, like beautiful minds. I don't think you're physically attractive. To me personally, I think you are attractive, but not to me. I'm not attracted to you physically, but
my wife thinks I'm attractive, so fuck you, Jeff Berwick.
Yeah, that's all that matters, man. That's all that matters. Fuck everyone else. Fuck what anyone thinks about you. You mentioned that in one of your videos that I watched during one of his 10 hours. Man, I think I know everything about you already thanks to Bill Gates. So thank you, Bill Gates. You finally did something good in my life.
That's right. No, it's true, man. We got a lot of similarities, a lot of juicy stuff to talk about. It could go on. It could go on forever. But for the people who don't know, let's get for a moment just get a little practical, because this is new for my followers. They don't really know what's going on. These people, they're doing their thing. So here's what I'm going to say, and see if you want to agree. I would say to normal people right now, that in the next 6 months, it's very likely that this fake economy of central banks pumping money, it's going to collapse. It's going to get really fucking messy because people will realize that there's no real money in the banks. You're going to go to your bank and there's nothing there to take out. The government is not going to insure it. You're fucked. So what you should do to protect yourself, maybe just consider not having a bunch of money, certainly in US dollars, in a bank account. Having it cash on hand could be a good idea. Even better idea would be take that overvalued money right now. People go, well, the U.S. dollar is high. It's high because in an uncertain world, the U.S. dollar for a long time now has been the most certain bet. So everything else will collapse. The U.S. dollar will go up, and then the U.S. dollar will collapse. So buy some fucking silver because it's something that's real and tangible, and it's real money, and it will go up. Buy some gold. It's been used for thousands of years as a currency. There's only so much of it. Buy some. Bitcoins, I want to do a whole fucking podcast on Bitcoins. I've been procrastinating. I've been wanting to do it for years. Bitcoins are awesome. There can only be so many of those. It's being accepted. There's money being pumping into it. Jeff knows a lot more about that than I do. So these are real things. Land is a real asset because you can live on it no matter what happens. So land is good. A gun, a bunch of bullets, food supplies, water filters, add your clarity drops that you can add to water and it purifies them. Those are good. Anything like that that'll keep you alive, a garden with food in it, those are real assets. I'd rather have that stuff than money because money, well, as we call it, paper, it's shit. It doesn't mean anything. Ask the Zimbabwe people or people in Cyprus or the Romans what their money is worth right now. It ain't worth shit. So that's what I say. So any words of people who people who are listening to this who just don't really know what the fuck is going on, what can they do in the next right now to protect their asses from going fucking broke?
Yeah, and I watched another video of yours. I don't know how I watched so many last night, but one of the things that also struck me that I thought was awesome was you were saying that that a lot of guys who, younger guys, so they're really, all they want is pussy, and, totally understandable. It's just human nature, and I was the exact same way. And they figure, well, I got to make a lot of money so I can get women. And that's what a lot of your students have found out is, no, you don't really need anything except for to understand that you are in control of your own life and you can be a real man and you can get whatever you want, or a woman as well. You can do whatever if you want to, you have power. So it's kind of funny because a lot of your followers or viewers or students realize now that in order to get the first thing they want, which is the first thing many of us want, is women, you don't really need a lot of money. But a good point that you also brought up is that, if you have some sort of capital, I hate to even almost use the word money because people think of those paper dollar bills with the Illuminati symbol on the back. And they think, oh, that's money. That's evil. And it is evil. In that form, it is evil. But, it's good to, I think it goes back again to you just want to help as many people as possible. And in a really free market, if you do that normally, you get a lot of wealth. People pay you. They want to give you things. They're like, hey, thank you. You just improved my life. Here, here's some stuff. And it's like, thanks. Great. And, but yes, a lot of people might not realize, a lot of your viewers or students might not realize how crazy this economic and financial system is. And, I want to see everyone, this is the difference between a true capitalist, a real capitalist, and the communist is, I want to see everyone in the world rich. And socialists or communists want to see everyone taken down to the lowest level possible. And it's your choice on what you want to do, but don't force me to do it. But there's so much, people have no idea what's going on. Just if you've gone through that process of learning that you have a little bit of power and you can actually get women if you want, and you don't have to beg. Actually, if you beg, it makes it worse. You just just understand you have a real power in yourself and have actual understanding that yourself, whatever this physical body is you have a power. You can control what you do and what happens to you for the most part. So it is important to, as men, let's talk about the men's side of things here. It's the only thing I can talk about. And I think most men, and I know you might differ on this a little bit because you got married just sort of for fun and all that kind of stuff. I've gotten to this sort of point, I feel like a real man now, actually, finally, after 44 years, because I have a wife and I have kids and dogs, and I love them. And all I care about is that they are okay. That's all I want. And so one thing I've noticed when you have a wife is she doesn't really care too much about what you do, but pay the bills. Like she doesn't want to worry that that's sort of the man's role as far as I can tell. And they've tried to skew that as well over the years. They've tried to make women into workers and try to make men feel like they're pathetic and they can't do anything and they should feel bad for even being men and all this. No,
yeah,
totally
that's
wrong.
a whole other fucking discussion right there.
Yeah. Like I said, we can talk for hours. And but one thing I've noticed since I became what I feel like is like I've become finally a real man. I'm not a boy anymore. I played around. I've done a million things. Stories. Some people know some of the stories. No one knows all the stories. I've done so many crazy shit in my life. And I was playing around. It was just fun, and that's great, fine. But then I found that didn't make me totally happy. Didn't make me happy at all, actually, at the end. And then I went to another phase in my life, which totally made me happy, and that is my family. And it just feels good. It feels good to be a father, to be a husband. For me, not for everyone, but for me, it just felt so good. But you need some money to do these sort of things. This is the biggest failure of a man is if he can't support his own family. And so many men kill themselves. This is why it's a big suicide thing. Because of the system, most people don't realize or know how to make any money anymore. And even if they do, they get robbed or stolen by the government so many times, or by the police. Smoking a little marijuana, I'm smoking a cigarette, but if you smoke a little marijuana, but you're still supporting your family, there's going to be a bunch of guys in the U.S. that come around with guns and bash down your door and take you off and put you into a rape camp for a while. And then your family is just destroyed, in that form. So it is important for men and women, but men more, in my opinion, to make sure you have some sort of assets. It doesn't have to be a lot. Like, it doesn't have to be yachts and boats and houses, just enough to support the people you care about, the people you really love, the ones that you really, we love. I agree with you. We're all humans. I love humanity. There's definitely some humans I don't love, though. and there's some that I really love. So I just want to support those people. So you need some money. So I'm finally going to get to the point here. And what you wanted me to talk to your audience about was how to do that. And yes, this financial system is going to collapse. It's been planned. It'll take me unless you want to talk for hours here, it'll take me quite a while to explain it all. Just look up my videos on the internet or blogs or anything. But it is going to collapse. It is already collapsing. We're already seeing it happen. Europe, everything is very close to the edge. And so get into harder assets, get into real tangible things. I have good news. This is a question I get asked a lot. I get a lot of broke people ask me, like, I'm so scared about what's going to happen. What do I do? And it's like, well, you're broke, so you have nothing to lose. You're in a good position. You really, like, except for your own physical body, you have absolutely nothing to lose. You're actually in a decent position here. You have nowhere to go but up. So if you have nothing at all, just do what we've been talking about. Follow your passion. Try to help other people as much as possible, and then things will start to come your way. This is just a natural, or God, or as you said, I don't know what it is, but it actually works. If you have assets and you don't know what's going on, and it's sitting in a U.S. bank account, and you figure that's the safest place to be, I've got a wake-up call for you, and you're going to have your own wake-up call in a couple months or a couple years max. If you don't wake up, it's a lie. Just like how they lied to you as a man that you can't be a man, and you can't just tell women what you want, and you have to feel bad for wanting it. The financial system is exactly the same. Or even worse. If you don't know any of that, just look up some of my stuff. But if you don't want to, if you're busy because the central banks are inflating a lot of your income purchasing power away, and the taxes are taking the rest away, and then the government is screwing you up, stopping you on your way to work because you drove 5 miles an hour too fast. If you don't have the time, just get into hard assets, as you mentioned. So gold, silver, buy some property if you have assets, preferably outside of the U.S. The U.S. is going to be the worst place in the next couple of years. But if you have no options, you don't want to take the time, you don't want to look into it, and you have like $100,000 in a bank account, I would suggest, and I'm not telling you to do it, but I would suggest that you look at getting some of that out and putting into things like precious metals or real estate, even where you live. At least you'll have something as this thing collapses. And you talked about Bitcoin. I could go on for hours about Bitcoin. Really, this interview should be about a year long to talk about all the things I talk about.
We could do multiple. We could do. We'll do another one another time. Yeah, we'll do it again. But yeah, there's something to be said about you realize what you said is really great. Like I was talking to my buddy Steve Pavlina, who's a personal development blogger. He's got one of the biggest blogs on the internet for personal development. And he basically said to him, I emailed him recently after joining your newsletter, which I recommend to people if they want to kind of wake the fuck up, or at least check out your website, the Dollar Vigilante. But I was talking to him, and I said to him, hey, look, man, I kind of know what's going on, because I've been following this stuff for a while. So if you want me to tell you a couple of things you can do now where you're probably going to make a shit ton of money in the next couple of years, I can tell you. And his reply to me was actually very interesting. It was basically what you said a second ago. He said, my view on things is, and I'm sure he won't mind sharing this, is that by putting out so much value into the world and helping so many people, he's basically created for himself a different type of wealth. A wealth where people are grateful towards him, and it's karmically really, really good. And there's so many people out there who are grateful to him. He's not really worried about anything, because he doesn't give a shit, because he knows as he's helped some people, they would help him, the universe would help him. So he's built up karmically such a goodwill. He's like, that's my wealth right there. And I get that. I totally get that. I've got that, but I would also not mind being a multimillionaire just by hoarding Bitcoins and gold and silver. But it's a very good point. It's a very good way of thinking, too. When you're really doing something and benefiting humanity, believe me, not only do the people you've helped notice, but the universe notices, and that really is a fundamental truth.
Yeah, and that's the way it should work. And it's because of all these, whatever happened over the last few hundred years or few thousand years, these people in control really just want to make everyone think the opposite of what is true. And in reality, exactly as you said, we can all just provide help to others and actually profit from it, which is great. Profit is not a dirty word. It's just, and you don't have to keep it. Like, so, for example, if you help somebody and they pay you, if you don't want that money, you can give it to someone else. You don't have to keep it if you don't want to. I'm a minimalist personally. I really don't own anything except for, my wife owns a lot of shoes and stuff, and this is the whole marriage sort of stuff. But I have my computers and cigarettes. I don't want a lot of stuff. I wear the same clothes most of the time. I only have probably 5 shirts and 2 jackets and 2 pairs of shoes.
I've only got 2 pairs of underwear. So, and I'm wearing them both right now.
It's not that important to me. It's not but at the same time, if I've been almost broke numerous times in my life, including even recently, I've just gotten screwed so many times that when you get really close to having zero, it doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel comfortable. Especially when you have a family. If I was just single, and I used to think this way, and this is probably why I used to be an entrepreneur, risk taker, is because my thought was always, what's the worst thing that could happen? That it totally doesn't work, and then I just move to Korea and work in a restaurant as a waiter or a dishwasher and fuck all the Korean waitresses and enjoy myself. That's the worst possible outcome.
Why Korea? Where does Korean waiter come from?
I used to have Asian fetish.
That's really, it's just really funny. My wife is actually half Korean, but it's just really funny, what a random, because usually I tell that. It's one of the things I say, guys, take the chance, start a fucking business. Your worst case, if you're from any rich Western country, you're not going to die. Your worst case scenario is sleeping on a French couch for a few weeks. So fucking what? You know what I'm saying? Stop being a fucking pussy and do what you want to do. But it's just that was just randomly really funny. Hey, I'll just go be a waiter in Korea and bang hot Korean waitresses. That's my worst case. I'm like, dude, that's the best case. I think you should do that right now. Never mind failing as a worst case. It's funny.
True, except I've changed. I can tell you're not really at that point, and maybe you'll never get at that point. And I don't care if you get to that point. But for me personally, I just sort of reached this whole family and marriage and all this. It's total surprise. Anyone who's known me my entire life, I always said, I'd never get married. No, why? It's so much fun and I've had girlfriends and it's great, and those are great too. But then they sometimes fizzle off, and yeah, do another one. Oh, that's fun. This is great. And it's enjoyable. And you learn things too from all these people that you're interacting with, not just sexually, but you actually talk to them sometimes too and learn about their lives. And it's like, oh, that's great. But there's something that's happened with me, and I don't know if this is going to last forever as well. Totally honestly, I don't know. But it feels right for me right now to be like a family person. Just feels right. Just feels good. I think it was the right time. I don't know if anyone's gonna. Most people do it way too young, in my opinion. They do it when they're like 18. They don't know anything yet, and they figure that's what they should do, and then they screw it all up because they didn't really learn anything. They didn't really develop themselves to the point where they can have that enjoyable family sort of life.
When you said I'm a family person now, I just had this vision of you with like a little kid in a diaper on the floor, and you're sitting there and you've got like $1 in one hand and like a silver coin in the other, and you're like, which one of these is money? Which one is money? And you're not this one. No, not the U.S. dollar, the silver. And I just think it's just get your.
Hey, this is another great thing. This is why I've enjoyed this so much. Is having kids. They actually know what money is. When you put a silver or gold coin in their hand, they go, "Wow, this is real." And then you give them like $10. They like it because they can buy candy and stuff. But they're like, "Yeah, okay, thanks." But you put like kids, babies, young people, before they're like become adults, they're the smartest people. They actually know everything. That's when we were really smart, and we didn't care what anyone thought. And we learned our lessons. We had to learn. So you don't punch somebody because they're going to punch you back. It doesn't feel good. Don't do that. But in general, children know everything, and then that's why they put them in the public indoctrination camps, the government schools, to drive that out of them. And no, you know nothing. You're stupid. Sit there for 8 hours and listen to this bullshit I'm going to tell you, and memorize it and repeat it. And if you don't, we're going to either hit you or put you on drugs. Crazy.
It's a beautiful system. It's wonderful. Well, you know what? I know we could go on forever, but I think we should just say that was awesome and wrap it up. So, any final words to the people out there in the world who are listening to us thinking these guys are fucking crazy?
Yeah, we don't care.
That's right.
And we're not.
That's right. We don't care what you think, but we know what the fuck is going on, fuckers.
Yeah.
So
and the only people who think we're crazy.
I will say this.
I think it was Einstein or someone who said that the crazy. I forget the quote. I'm a quote butcherer, but basically, most people think crazy people are stupid, and stupid people are whatever. I butchered it again. So my point is, it doesn't really matter what other people think. I know I'm not crazy. What's that word even mean anyway? We have to look into the meaning of all these words.
You know what? This whole crazy thing is just another manipulation by those in charge so they can maintain control. It's the same thing with the term conspiracy. This guy's a conspiracy theorist. Oh, really? So because he doesn't believe what the government says is true, he's crazy. No, I talked about this recently on a podcast that's just about to come out that I recorded, and I wanted to get this one up first because the fucking collapse is happening now. So I'm like, I'm doing this one, then I'll put that one up. But I just did my definition of conspiracy theory, and what my definition is when all facts, logic, and everything else that you can possibly perceive as with your human mind point to one conclusion, but the government tells you the opposite. What the government is telling you, that's the conspiracy. You understand? Not what is logical, but we'll just say this is the official story. No. So the conspiracy is that the government is not only making up a bunch of shit and doing a bunch of evil shit, they're convincing us we're fucking crazy for pointing out the obvious truth. And people who go along with a retarded story, people who are dumb enough and fluorinated enough to fucking go along with that shit, they're normal. Fuck off. So that's my definition. I talk about that in another podcast that's coming out soon. Yeah, I will say this. Since 2012, I've followed you, Jeff. You're a truth seeker like myself, and I'm a fan of yours. I love what you're doing. So I was really excited when you replied to my second Facebook message, and I was like, yes, he does. He's going to talk to me. Fuck yeah. I was really excited about that. And I'm honored that you've asked me to come down and speak at your event. I will come down there. I'll share with you this secret. I was going to go down and just watch the fucking thing anyway, and I was going to try and hustle you to get a couple of free tickets. So now speaking is a lot better. But even when I was thinking that, in the back of my head, I was like, I could do a pretty good fucking talk on this shit. I travel the world. I have my own successful business. I make good money helping people, and I'm basically a fucking nomad. So I kind of know what the fuck's going on. So
That's awesome, and I'm so glad to hear that you're so on board so quick. And I'm going to have you on my podcast, Anarchast, because I want to talk about all this. But one thing that you mentioned that you didn't really like Mexico. I don't think you've really seen Mexico. I think here in Acapulco, you're going to see the real Mexico. This place is amazing. I wake up every day and I can't believe how amazing it is. And people go, well, sometimes people get shot there. I'm like, yeah, sometimes people hear do bad things and they get shot. There's no police, there's no courts. That's the way it should be. In the U.S., everyone call the police, call 911, call the government. No, deal with it yourself, or find ways, systems that are, not forced upon you to deal with them. And you can have private courts, you can have private security, you can have private everything. So anyway, for your audience, I just found out about you and your audience recently, and I've really enjoyed it, and it's been really interesting for me and enlightening and inspiring is the word, to see some of these people that you've changed their lives in a few hours. That is so great. I actually was thinking I want your job because the shit I do is a lot of work and thinking and research. I'd rather just wake up, help somebody in a couple hours, change their life, and make some money from it. That'd be great. So I actually maybe we'll switch jobs at some point.
Jeff. I was thinking I want your job because every time I see your content, you're there you're in fucking some paradise in Cancun. Look at it. There's a fucking guy in a boat on a fucking lake right now Right now, look out your fucking window. There's a guy fucking on a boat right now, right? And you're just there with fucking trees and shit. And literally, and every time I'm like, he's just there making money off his fucking podcast, and he's gonna go swim in the ocean and probably fucking eat in some beachside restaurant. And then get a suntan. What a fucking slacker! I want that job, you cocksucker. So I'm down.
It's not as easy as it looks.
Well, I would say the same thing about me.
Yeah. But yeah. It's never easy. Life's never totally easy. There's reasons, I think, why we have difficulties in our life. It's to make us to learn more, to grow. So yeah, a lot of people think my life is totally easy. There's been times, and I've talked about this over the last few years. I've been pretty close to just fucking killing myself. Dealing with the evil in this world and the more that you try to the more you try to expose them, the more they attack you. So I'm just constantly under attack. Our servers are under attack. You just wake up and it's like, what's happened today? Something bad, and our bank accounts are closed. Okay, and but I'm almost getting to the point, and ayahuasca I did a few times and gotten very spiritual. I used to be agnostic. I used to say I don't know, and I still don't know, but I know there is something now. There is something. And the more that you connect with that, the better your life goes, is what I've found. But it's not organized religion. It's not the Pope. Fuck the Pope.
I'm so fucking against organized religion. But, yeah, I realized when we were doing a thing, at one point I said, we're all God. And I realized I can have people go, what the fuck is this guy talking about? But it's just a divisive word, God, because we associate it with the Catholics and the Christians and the Jews and everyone killing each other. But, you just gotta, we're not just really smart apes is the point. We're not just really smart animals. No, there's something, this consciousness is something greater. It comes from something greater than us. And I think if everyone really looks inside, they know that there is something else going on here, not just us. It's not like you die, it's all over, buddy. No, it's not fucking over, And if you really dig deep, you will see that. That's what the drugs are for. Woo!
Yeah, and they promote all the bad drugs. And he pointed out alcohol. That's, the worst drug. And it's one that I've had a problem with numerous times in my life, including probably right now. Although I'm not drinking right now or anything. But whenever I get depressed about how bad things are, I reach for that thing to make me just forget about it. And I know it's a problem, and I'm still working on it. And I want to do, it's not ayahuasca, it's not San Pedro. There's another one. Iboga? Have you heard of this one?
I know what it is, yeah. That shit is hardcore.
Yeah, I want to try that. I think I haven't done San Pedro either. Anyway, we're just going off on tangents now.
Once we officially end, I'll talk to you off the record, and then I'll tell you a couple things.
Yeah, there's some things you can't tell everybody right now, because if you do, it'll screw up the plan. The plan is to wake people up, and you can't just come out and tell everything to everybody right now, because it will kind of throw us off. So yes, there's some things that people don't know that I've done. nothing bad, but that I'm not ready to tell everybody yet what I've learned, because to me, most of humanity is sort of like grade 4 level. Like they're still pretty. I don't want to say stupid, but like they're not very enlightened, and you have to take it in steps. And
That's
so
right.
what I did 5 years ago is I just took a first step. I said, listen, governments and central banks are not here to help you. They are actually destroying your lives. And then it's led me down this path over 5 years that I'm starting to say more and more. And I never talked about spirituality ever. And I never even thought about it really. And then I got to this point, I was like, oh, there's even way more than this, and there's way more, and there's way more. And there's so much I don't even know. And I keep looking because I'm so curious. But yeah, again, tangents, we can talk forever.
Yep. But dude, for me, it was really painful. A couple years, I was really going through this turmoil internally, because I know why I'm here on the planet. I did a whole, thing where I talked about an experience I had, which I'll probably tell you when we're done. But basically, I know why I'm here. I'm here to raise the consciousness of people on the planet, and I had this real thing where I'm just like watching you and other people who are talking about this stuff, and other people who are talking about conspiracy theories. They're just people telling the truth. And I'm like, man, I really want to wake people up and tell them what's really going on, the corruption, the absurdity of it, how we're all basically being turned into. Not only are we already slaves to a degree, they want to make us literal slaves, where you can't do anything without their permission. That is what's happening. And I was frustrated because I'm like, okay, I'm helping guys, get what they want, and I'm helping them with women, but I want to be like, hey, it's all fucking. I want to take my laptop and scream at it and tell people. And I realize if I go off on a rant to the guys who are following me, they'll be like, this guy's gone fucking nuts. Which is why I love so much doing my podcast, because if you go to my YouTube channel, I have a brand. It's I make a living as a dating coach, helping guys meet and connect with women. Wonderful. But if you go on my podcast, you really have to click on it and listen for a while. So you don't really know what's there. So people who really know me, they listen to the podcast, and there I'm able to do this and really talk about what I really want to talk about in the new passions that I have, which is all this stuff. So that's why for me it's so liberating. And in a way, you're one of my inspirations. I saw you talking about it. I'm like, well, fuck it. If he can do it, no one, fuck it, I can do it too. And so I'm just going on ranting about what I want to rant, and it's wonderful. And this is why I love my podcast, because I can talk about anything I want to without any rules. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's so great. And that's a part of what I said a few years ago is just get out there and say the truth. And maybe you won't wake a lot of people up, but you will get some people who already knew it to realize they can say it too. And so this is like, the old gum commercial, she tells two girls and she tells two girls or whatever. But it's actually like, for whatever reason, the same reason that guys have problems with women are being like themselves around women is the same reason that we have all these other problems. It's people, I actually knew, and by the way, and for anyone who doesn't know, there's no way I'm doing what I did or I am doing, not because there was so many other people who already did it before me. There wasn't many that you could find out about before because there was no internet, and that's what really kept the system in place. But there was so many pioneers we could talk about. So many of them, Harriet Tubman, who freed so many slaves in the U.S., and she said she could have freed more if only they knew they were slaves. People like G. Edward Griffin, who wrote The Creature from Jekyll Island, that's the first one that woke me up to what was kind of going on. And so it was like a doorway, like the door sort of cracked open, and I just went into it. But I also knew at the same time that by talking about this stuff, I was also enabling other people to feel more comfortable talking about it, which goes back to the whole picking up girls thing. You just have to become comfortable with yourself to do what you know is right and true. And with your dating stuff, a lot of people might think it's kind of like, oh, that's not, that's pretty bullshit kind of stuff. Who cares? Who's helping some guys get laid? Actually, you're actually helping so many women on this planet, because there's not much real men on this planet. They've been so whipped and destroyed, and they don't even know it, a lot of them, unfortunately. And hopefully they do find it out. But I feel bad. I actually feel worse for the women than the men, because I watched, I just sit there and I watch some horribly awkward guy come up to some wonderful, beautiful girl and just stumble all over himself. And it's awkward for him. Well, it's super awkward for him, but for her too. Like, you're really making her, she's, most women, not all, but most, are just wonderful, loving. They just want to have fun. They want to meet a real man, maybe more than one. It doesn't matter. Uh, but there's not many of them out there. There's, and then we could talk about all this alpha male sort of stuff. A lot of people think that means, oh, you got to be an asshole and like hit women and shit. No, man, just be a fucking man. Just have some sort of self-confidence. Say what you mean. Have some intention. Don't just wander over and don't even know what you want. Well, you want to get laid, but other than that, you're just kind of like, I don't know what figure it out. And it's so easy. You've done it with guys in a couple of hours. Like a lot of this stuff, everyone has this idea about schools and you got to go for 4 years or 12 years to learn stuff. Pretty much everything important in life, you can learn in a couple of days.
Yeah.
If you're open to it.
Yeah. Well, you say a couple hours. It takes time. My program.
No, I understand that too, but I'm saying like to completely change your entire world, can happen in a couple of hours if you just get over your fear.
Yeah, I've taken.
But then, of course, yes, it takes years and years and years to get better.
Yeah, that's true. I've had guys who come to me and they're really great guys and they're like, I'm just in my head and I'm worried people are going to judge me and I just can't come up to girls. And I took them out and I put them through my training and I make people do a lot of social freedom exercises and just get out of their fucking heads and I make them do ridiculous things where people will judge them. And then after they're being judged and people think you're a dick and they're there just like, they realize, wait a minute, people think I'm an asshole and I'm still here. Nothing's happened. And then they're like, wait a minute, if people think I'm a dick and that doesn't matter, I could just come up to girls and tell them they're beautiful and ask them on a date, and that doesn't matter. And they do it, and they come back with a date or with a phone number or even with the girl, and they're going to go for a coffee, and they're like, holy fucking shit, my whole reality is changing. And literally, I've done it in a couple of hours where the guy emails me a month later. He's just like, dude, I'm dating 3 women. I'm walking around. I talk to girls all the time. I don't give a fuck. Life is amazing. And it's really just a shift. And so it is amazing the shifts people can have with women economically, about the system, just waking up. It's really about waking up in every way, financially, sexually, as a man, as a human, spiritually. It's waking up, and that's my purpose. That's what I'm doing here. It's fucking beautiful, and it's great to fucking talk to another one of our my brethren.
Yeah, it is great. It's amazing. I didn't even know who you were until yesterday, and thanks to Bill Gates, I feel like I know a lot about you, and seems like we're almost like buddies. We're from Canada.
That's right.
Not that matters. I don't care where you're from, but. Yeah, it's amazing. Life can be amazing. So many amazing things. And you're right again. I want to mention, yeah, you can learn everything you need to know in a couple hours usually, but it does take years and years and years of working and practice to get it even better. And I want to ask you, like I said, we could talk for hours. I want to ask you one question. For example, if anywhere at any time, do you ever feel uncomfortable going up and talking to a girl? Because I know, like, I've gotten to the what people would call alpha, like I got to the point where I could get almost any girl, no problem. And it actually got boring to me at that point. That's when I kind of moved on. But I still to this day will have days, if I want to do something, like go up and talk to some girl, that I feel a little uncomfortable. Have you completely rid yourself of all that uncomfortableness or...
I think it's never like 100%. I wouldn't say 100%. But it's just that you feel this. It's the same thing as comedy. People will, I did comedy for my whole, talking about many years, and people will say, "Oh, do you still get afraid before you go on stage? Do you get nervous?" And it's like it's a little bit, but it's almost like it's you're so used to dealing with it. You're so normal to feel that and go, well, fuck it, that's what I feel. I'm going to do it anyway because it's my job. I'm going to go and be funny. It's the same type of thing. It's the same type of energy. Okay, I'm a little bit nervous, but you know what? I've felt it before. There's been hot girls before. I've come up to them, and you know what? I'm still alive. No one took out a gun and shot me in the face for telling a girl she had a nice ass or whatever. And so, yeah, you have it a little bit. But it really decreases. It used to be this much fear, now it's this much fear, and it's just like whatever, buddy, and you just fucking go for it. Yeah, but
I agree actually because sorry.
It can be situational because you mentioned in certain situations it's a bit weird, but again, there's always a way to do it in every situation. So, for example, guys are always like, "Oh, well, I can't do it. She's with a friend." Well, actually, it can be done beautifully with a friend. You walk up to the girl you like, you say, "Hey, you're gorgeous. I want to meet you." You turn to the friend and say, "Hey, I know you guys are hanging out. I want to be a dick, but do you mind if I flirt with your friend for a second?" And then you put your hand on and go, "Hi, I'm Sasha." And so because you're keeping the woman, her friend, sort of in the conversation, you're not ignoring her. She won't hate your guts, and she won't cockblock you. And that's how you do it. And there's a way to do it in every situation. That's kind of my job, so I know what I'm talking about. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm not in that game anymore, but I wish I knew about you 20 years ago.
I wish I knew about me 20 years ago. That would have been great. I often joke around.
I agree, though.
I often joke around if I had a time machine and I could just take my ebook, the Direct Dating Bible, go back in time to when I was 15 and be like, hey, fucker, read this book. Oh, my God, I would be getting laid so much when I was so horny. It would have been fucking great. But, I didn't really get into it until my late 20s. Now I'm 36, and I'm like, yeah, it's just not the same anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Wait till 44.
Yeah. Jesus.
Although I think I can bring it back. I think a lot of it is like exercise and diet and being happy brings back. But I've been very unsexual for the last year or so, mostly due to stress, I believe. And I've had a really bad year, but it's getting a lot better now. And I can just see it all coming back now, which is great. And, sex is a part of life, and it's a great part of life, and it's needed. Everyone needs it. You can just see the women out there who don't have sex. You can tell who they are because they're such a bitch. It's like, someone please have sex with her.
That was the most fucking direct way of saying, because they're such a bitch. That's really funny. No one ever actually says that. That's fucking funny as fuck.
Yeah, I don't care anymore. And you don't either, I can tell. And it's a great feeling, actually. It still hurts when people say bad things about you, but I think I'm going to grow out of that, too. I think I'm going to get to the point where you said you actually enjoy when people, making people uncomfortable. And I'm sort of like, I'm still not even at that level. I don't enjoy it. And that's maybe why I try to. You say I'm telling the truth, and I am, but I really massage it a lot because I just want to be careful and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's life. You just kind of learn and move and build and keep improving yourself. And it goes from dating, and when you're young and you want women so bad, all those problems that you have equate to every single other problem in your life. So if you can, you just have to figure out how to fix the first problem. So if you're younger and you just want to get laid, fix that problem, figure out how, and it's very easy, as you know, not very hard. Well, it is hard. It's painful. All these changes include some pain. That moment when you first go up, I watched a few of your videos, as I mentioned, and the guy was saying how it felt like physical pain after the woman turned him down. He had to sit down. He was feeling physical pain. Yeah, it is that way. Everything in life is that way. But when you can push past that, it's this feeling of liberation and like, wow, I can change things in my life. I can improve things. I can get what I want. And hopefully what you want and hopefully what everyone wants is a better world and a loving world and everyone to have fun and enjoy themselves and not steal or rob or kill and all that kind of stuff. There's some of those people, but the more that we just keep doing what we're doing, they just become like dust. Everyone stops listening to them. The central bankers and the governments. They're like, once people get to our level, it's just like, people actually listen to what Barack Obama reads off his teleprompter, and care, other than just to laugh at it, which is what we do. It's just like I watch it as comedy. It's just comedy now. Janet Yellen funny? The other day when she almost I don't know if you saw this Federal Reserve Chairman. She was giving a speech and she almost had a stroke and she's coughing. And I any other older woman in the world, I'd feel so bad. I'd be like, oh please, someone take care of her. But no, not that fucking bitch. Let her cough and choke because she is impoverishing billions of people around the world. And literally, her establishment or institution is responsible for millions of people being dead or tortured through the wars which they finance. So yeah, I just watch it as a comedy now.
Yeah. I mean, you can just tell. You don't have to be that smart. You can just tell when somebody's acting and just basically reading their lines and being to saying what they're supposed to be told. You can tell because there's nothing behind the eyes. You can fucking tell. There's
eyes are the window to the soul.
Yeah, there's nothing in the eyes. There's no passion. There's not even anything going on up here. It's a blank face, and they're literally just saying shit. And it's ridiculous. Like, how can you not watch these fucking people on TV and go, oh, this guy's a fucking moron. He's just following orders, and he has no soul. I don't know. It's just so. But this is how dumbed down they have to get people to not realize an obvious truth that there are a bunch of puppets running everything. You know, you really have to be eating fucking shitty food, drinking shitty water, and be broke all the time, and be drunk all the time, and just out of your fucking face and on pharmaceuticals to not be conscious enough just to go, oh, these people are fucking clowns. You know, and that's why. That's it. That's what they got to do. Anyway. I think that's a good point to fucking end on. So,
we have to end this at some point. So we can't do a 9-hour YouTube video here.
Here's what I'm going to say this. So I want to thank you for doing this and hanging out with me. It's really fun. And to everybody out there, check out the Dollar Vigilante if you want to know what the fuck is going on with the economy and money. It's a great website. He's got a blog. He posts stuff on there. He's got YouTube videos. And if you want to join the little club and become a subscriber like Papa Sasha and be on the inside, then I'm sure Jeff encourages you to do so. But it's great. He knows what the fuck's going on. So if you got some money and you don't know what to do with it, check it out because you'll get some good advice from somebody who's actually going to tell you the truth. And anything else you want to plug? And you got your event coming up. You want to tell folks about that?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Just go to Dollar Vigilante if you're at all curious about finance or economics or how they're fucking you that way. We have a free blog, so just sign up to that and just read it. And if you like that kind of stuff, then great. And I also do a podcast called Anarchast, which I want to have you on. That is the biggest anarcho-capitalist or anarchist podcast in the world. And we talk about how we don't want people to rule us, and we don't want owners. And there's still not a lot of us, but it's rising dramatically. And then we have the biggest anarchist, anarcho-capitalist conference in the world here in Acapulco coming up February 19th, 21st, which sounds like you're going to be at, which is going to be awesome. And so many other awesome people. Like this is going to be just like this podcast was. We're going to have like a week like this of just interactions with other people. Like, what? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, tell me how you felt about that. That's so interesting. I didn't think of it that way. That's what it's going to be like. So going to be awesome, man. And you'll finally realize that Mexico is great. And not every place, not every person, but it is awesome. I've been to 100 countries. So, and I know a lot of the countries that you mentioned that you love are also awesome. Actually, most places are awesome.
I was going to ask you this. I had a crazy idea. I may or may not do it, but I could potentially hold one of my directing summits or even just a small program for a few guys in Acapulco the week before and just have everybody come down for my thing and then stay for your thing. That would be fucking epic.
Oh, you'll sell it out. I wrote an article that I sent to you. I wrote that article because so many anarchists are still very shy and timid, and because they're good people. So, but they think that what they think is bad for some reason, and they haven't developed their social skills because they're mostly reading all the time or on the internet looking up stuff. There's so many anarchists that would sign up for your program. I bet, and actually we'll do this on my podcast, Anarchast. If you want to do it, I don't know how many people you can do, but pretty much any number you can name, you will get that. That's one of the biggest questions I get from anarchist men is about how are you so comfortable talking? And I'm like, I'm not all that comfortable. It's just I've gotten used to it. I've just developed it over years and years and years. But looking back on the whole dating scene and girls and all that kind of stuff, it's not that hard. And you can actually fix 99% of the problems in a couple days or a couple hours or a week.
I'll talk to you more about this privately. But are there cute girls there in Mexico during February? Is it the off season? Is it high season? Is there going to be honeys around?
Oh my God! You don't know how stupid that question sounds. I
don't know.
This place is full of beautiful women.
Okay, that's what I want to hear. All right, good. I wanted to make you say it basically without me saying it because I wasn't sure. Okay, beautiful.
Yeah. No, you will not have a bad time at all.
I'm looking forward to coming down there, and yeah, I'm thinking of maybe having my own because I don't think you know because I didn't send you the website, but I have an event called the Direct Dating Summit, and it's basically I get a bunch of speakers like me who are about be a fucking man, talk to girls, blah blah blah. We have different events around the world. The last one was very full. We just did it in Serbia. It was amazing. It was all about sexual mastery, and I'm going to have another one maybe on a long-term relationship. You know, there's always some kind of theme, but it's always about how to be an effective man. And yeah, I want to do one around February. I was going to actually do it in Miami, but I could do it there. I could have people come down there.
Don't do it in that shithole third world country.
Well, you know what? My logic is because I know it'll be at some point where I'll never go back to the U.S. again. So while it's kind of okay, I can sneak in, have a little fun. Miami's a cool city. You know, it is all right. but till it's not, which is soon. So I'm kind of like
I wouldn't count on it for February even. But
well, we'll see. But
in
anyway,
any case, Acapulco kicks Miami's ass times 100.
Doing an event down there, and we could literally, because my people will come for my one, and we could even do a package deal where they can get access to your one, and then we fucking double up, man.
I think it's a done deal. I think we have to do it. It's
right.
very needed from our side, from the anarchist side. There's just so many guys just awkward and they don't know how to communicate and socially interact. And they ask me a lot of these questions. I'm like, I'm busy. I'm looking at the Federal Reserve here.
I can't tell you about high girls.
Like,
I'm looking at Janet Yellen, so you go hit on girls on yourself. Yeah, I'm busy. I'm busy checking out this one. But anyway, listen, we have to end this at some. It's an hour and a half.
Yeah,
now.
we have to.
But dude, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure, and I will be seeing you down in Mexico in February for sure. And you know what? When I do my your podcast, I'll tell everybody, and then we'll do it all again.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's been great, and I'm pretty sure we're going to talk even after we turn off the cameras here.
I'm not even hanging up on you. I'm just pressing stop on the record button. So bye, everybody. Love you guys. 3.